Welcome to the Mojo Market Report. Here's your hosts, Dave Sturchio and Chris Gueci.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Mojo Market Report right here on a Tuesday. It is Dave Sturchio. It is Chris Gueci. It is A5. Anthony behind the glass here at Chop Studios. How about them Cowboys, baby? What an absolute barn burner last night. It was everything that I didn't expect at all. There's a lot to dive into with this game. And let me tell you something. Dak Prescott answered every single naysayer and hater and whatever other terminology you want to use or whatever the kids are saying nowadays. He was on fire. He was absolutely on fire. First drive, I was like, oh, here we go. You know what I mean? I was like, oh man, this is gonna be one of those nights. But man, did he turn it on? And the Cowboys on every single cylinder last night. And
I feel like it was more like the Bucs lost that one more than the Cowboys won it.
Oh man, you really?
I'm just messing with you.
I was gonna say that can't be authentic. That can't be authentic.
In Chop Studios.
I would say, listen, truth be told, the Bucs were an 8-9 team going in. They've had their struggles throughout the course of the year. They haven't looked good in specific games. They also looked amazing in other games. Brady's looked really good in the fourth quarter. He's looked really good on last-minute drives. But the key to success last night was to get to him, get him flustered. I did call for a Microsoft tablet toss or two. I didn't see any of those, but I did see him start to yell. He did seem flustered. But shout out to, we'll get into a couple coaching things that happened over the course of the week. But I think if anything else, the only loss that the Dallas Cowboys received last night was Dan Quinn. Like, he might get that job in Denver because, that performance right there to shut down the GOAT, the greatest to ever play in the playoffs ever, to shut him down the way they shut him down. It wasn't like, at the last second they came up with a big clutch thing. No, it was all game.
Yeah, they dominated that game. The offensive line was pretty much a revolving door.
Oh.
But I don't know if Dan Quinn goes, man. I know that there's probably going to be some options for him, but
he had the option to leave last year. And I don't know if he would have been hired. He was considered to be a finalist at Denver.
Denver was talking about this offseason after they fired Hackett, that they were talking about wanting a legit established veteran head coach. The only thing that's established about Dan Quinn as a head coach is that he hasn't been a good head coach. I know that he's done a lot of work, great work in Seattle.
He did go to a Super Bowl, and I know that
did a lot of great work in Seattle, but
28-3 thing.
That I give a little more flowers to Shanahan on that Super Bowl run.
Sure,
it was Matt Ryan's MVP season.
Flowers to Shanahan? He blew it.
But in terms of what got them to the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was really Dan Quinn. Now, obviously, he was the head coach. He's putting the pieces in place. But realistically, I think Shanahan has proven that he was the mastermind behind that Atlanta offense success. Now, we saw him in Seattle do well. I just don't think that Dan Quinn goes anywhere because I think that the NFL kind of needs to catch up to the fact that if they're a coordinator and you failed somewhere, the realistic expectation shouldn't be that you're going to succeed somewhere else at this point, because I think it's been proven. There's a few guys that have had a good second run. Bill Belichick is a very good example.
He's the greatest example.
We're talking about he was a coordinator 30 years ago, so it doesn't really count.
But in any event, everybody performed when they needed to last night. There was a lot of talking heads out there saying that Dak was going to, chuck this one away, and he didn't. So we move into the top movers, and he is our first guy. Dak Prescott absolutely delivers a gem of a performance. 25 of 33 for 305 yards, 4 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. The dude finally decided to use his legs. He knows he has them. He's done it in the past. Clearly, that ankle injury that took him out of 2020, you think it's in the mental head. Like, I don't know if I want to take off as much. Dak Prescott was putting his shoulder down. He was diving for first downs. The dude could not be denied last night. And again, you got to admit, he's not your Patrick Mahomes of the world. He's not those guys with the skill set of Patrick Mahomes. But I will tell you this, Dak Prescott's a gamer. And the call was answered last night. His stock rises. You put a multiplier on this guy. You made some money on Dak Prescott in the Mojo market. But going forward, yeah, it was Tampa. So great.
They definitely got their hands full next week. But hey, you got to win it to be in it, and you got to be in it to win it. And they won it, and they're in it still. So however you want to slice that, the Cowboys got a shot.
Yeah.
Hey, 3 NFC East teams in the Final Four in the NFC.
How about that? How about the fact we're 2 years removed from the NFC East being the laughingstock of the entire league. Every single team under 500. The division winner was like the Redskins at the time. They won 7-9 or something like that, or 6-10, something atrocious. But now here we are.
That was where Heineke.
That's where he got his money, or at least the confidence behind that Washington Commanders organization.
We got our first look at Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, but for this division to turn it around and do what they did, especially in the fashion that they did it. I mean, the Eagles are the number 1 seed for a reason. The Giants went out there and did their thing against the Vikings, and they dominated that game. To me, they dominated that game. And then Dallas takes care of business last night. So as far as the Mojo market's concerned, with the remaining quarterbacks in the field, Dak Prescott, I believe, there's 8 left. He's in the top 5 of the 8 left. You have to give him that at the very least. I mean, I know you could probably think about it off the top of your head. You shift to the AFC quarterbacks, and you're looking at the Mahomes of the world, and you're looking at Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, right? And then you could put Dak and Hurts maybe in the same conversation. As of right now, Hurts had himself a great year, but overall, then you got Daniel Jones.
I'm going to avoid because
Purdy.
I don't want to get Dave enraged right now, but I'm
not
to
going to
avoid.
get enraged. You can't touch me right now.
I'm going to
so
avoid the list conversation right now because I think it's so fluid and dynamic at the back end of this top 10, we'll call it. But when you're looking at the AFC, I mean, we've talked about the AFC.
Yeah, no,
the AFC's got some
a lot of
ballers out there,
talents.
and I'll stick by this. Look, I think Dak plays himself. He's not outside the top 10. I think we could establish that. Like, when you're having conversations about Kirk Cousins, you're splitting hairs there. And if you want to say Kirk Cousins, not you per se, but if somebody wants to say Kirk Cousins, I'm just going to say, okay, fine, deal. Right? We could have that. He had some success, and there's realistic knocks on both players. But I think when you're having that conversation, you got to put Dak. You can't get to the 9th quarterback and then start saying names after that, like guaranteeing better than Dak. They're not. But we'll avoid the list for this particular point.
For me to be in a good mood the rest of the day.
I'm not really. Look, I'm. The Cowboys did well. I don't think that their coach is good. Otherwise, I'd be all in on Dak right now. And they're having enough successes to where McCarthy's going to be around for a little bit. Dak even said it. He said, I think it's comical or laughable that we're even answering these questions about my head coach when they won 12 games 2 years in a row. You want to have your coaches back. That's a good thing. I do think it's hindering Dak's offensive output just a little bit, but the 49ers might hinder it a little bit more next week. We're going to see a good matchup. Dallas is rolling. I know that Dave is big on he's big on trends when they lean in his direction, and they've lost a game and then they won 4. They lose a game, they won 4.
I mean, that is that all hail the streak.
Hopefully it's not on grass in blue jerseys.
And it is.
Oh,
it is. And it was. All that blue jersey stuff and the grass
stuff.
Trying to lighten
this
it's so ridiculous.
Sick feeling I have that I'm jealous Dave's team advanced and mine's just
I mean,
I'm
be
sitting
happy.
here opening memorabilia.
Yeah.
Dave's watching playoff games.
I was gonna say when I saw the notification, they're like, "What? You're alive on one?" I'm like, "I'm not watching that one." But anyway,
my
crazy.
Facebook thing was like, "Who wants to? If anybody is bored of watching this thorough ass whooping that the Cowboys are putting on Tom Brady,
Cowboys fans were excited. First road playoff win since 1992. Little Sturch was 7. I was 7 years old when the Dallas Cowboys won a playoff game on the road. That's 30 years ago. So, again, Dak balled out. Flowers to you, my man. Thank you. Thank you for delivering the Dallas Cowboys fans and the media something to talk about for another week.
So short Dak.
Absolutely. This can't happen 2 weeks in a row, right? Speaking of a guy that's on a franchise tag right now who's looking to get the bag, is the recipient of 7 catches, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's Dalton Schultz. Schultz absolutely balled out last night, found himself wide open. I kind of wish that Kevin Burkhardt did the game last night just so I can hear wide open all the time. Dude, this kid was running free, even and then with blocking. He was doing everything he needed to do to get himself in the conversation of a contract. Now, I don't know if it's going to be Dallas. I really don't, because they have Ferguson. He played very well. They have Sean McEwen. He's a younger guy. They have Peyton Hendershot. He's another young guy on the rise. So they have a massive tight end room, right? I think that Dalton Schultz played himself into a contract somewhere.
I think it's atypical of the Cowboys to not lock up their tight end long term if they feel like they have something good.
He's not Jason Witten. You don't keep a legend around.
He's not, but I mean, the numbers
not
are up
jumping
across the
Jay
board
Novacek.
offensively, but I mean, is he not? I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think
You think he's Jason Witten?
no, I think he could be as good as Jay Novacek. I think Novacek was a very good player,
I know
but he
Novacek
was
a really good role player. I mean,
he was their
be.
Cowboys tight end for the better part of a decade, if not a decade, and
3 Super Bowl wins.
Similarly to Schultz, he leaves a little bit to be desired in certain departments, but he's not the best, but he's certainly not hurting you. I just think that the tight end market is a little priced out for Dallas right now, and Schultz, fact that he's having good games down the stretch. It took him a little bit to get going, but he really earned himself some money the last month and a half.
He did, and he probably earned
and
you
it's just
money.
not going to be from the Cowboys.
He probably earned you money if you're an investor in Mr. Dalton Schultz. So, look, the Cowboys, outside of the Cowboys playing out of their minds last night, there was one guy. Before we get to one guy, I do want to say a special shout-out that I hope you're okay, Brett Maher. What the hell?
You're about to say Russell Gage.
No, well, him too. Can I? We'll talk after. We'll talk after. But all I know is Brett Maher sets a record for missed extra points in a game, regular season and playoffs. Hasn't done this since 1932. It's almost 100 years, okay? 100 years almost since the last time any kicker missed 4 extra points. Get out of your own head, Brett. Stop thinking the moment's too big. You are so clutch the entire season. You'll be all right. As soon as Mojo lets you invest in kickers, he's one I'm not gonna go long on. Just for the sole purpose of anything that can go wrong will go wrong with Brett Maher right now. Not good.
Yeah, I'm out on
They
Brett.
kept trotting him out there.
I'm out on Brett.
Yeah, they kept trotting him out there like, all right, just go make this one, make up for the last one.
if they would.
And then it was like, all right, go make this one, make up for the last 2.
In game, you have to.
Dak Prescott
trot him out there.
throwing his helmet like he was
Did you
pissed.
see? Did you see? I don't know if it was a receiver and a receivers coach on the sideline. Who's number 11?
Micah Parsons.
No, then it's 10.
Cooper Rush.
Either way, it was neither of those two. I could promise you that. But on the sideline, he's like, the coach was kind of coaching him up, looking down at the tablet or whatever, and he's like, did he just miss another extra point? And the coach was like, get the out of here, get the out of here,
Bro, so
he sure did.
we'll see. But another guy you might want to keep your eye on if you're an investor. He is the absolute GOAT in so many ways, whether it be the NFL and the Mojo market report, and that is Tom Brady. Tom Brady's stock fell a little bit, okay? Not crazy amount, okay? But if you have the multiplier on Tom Brady, like you probably should if you invest in a legend like him, you definitely lost some money last night. Tom Brady goes, ready for this, 35 of, do you know the stat? How many times he threw the ball?
I know that they only had 7 rushing attempts in the first half.
Do you want to take a gander?
60.
66. 66 attempts by Tom Brady. He
Is that
completes.
a playoff record?
I don't know, but he throws for 351, a lot of garbage time.
66.
2 touchdowns, 1 bad interception. Ready for this stat? First red zone interception that he's thrown as a Buccaneer, and since 2019. Hasn't thrown a red zone interception in 3 years. And the one he threw last night, people in his face. I feel like if I had to guess at what he was trying to do, he's trying to throw the ball to the back of the end zone, but he's on his back foot. His arm strength ain't what it used to be. J-Ron Curse comes down with one. There was plenty of balls from either Curse. The corners just played out of their minds too. I mean, Diggs, it's another conversation for another day. My man, I've never seen somebody try to avoid contact more than Trayvon Diggs. Like he's just like, he wants nothing to do with
They brought
nothing.
in Xavier Rhodes.
Oh yeah, Xavier Rhodes. You know what I saw?
And
I saw his back of his jersey.
He's a run-stopping corner.
Oh, he was rough. But again, we'll see what happens. But as far as Brady's concerned, 53% completion percentage. His one interception is a big one. There's a 14-play drive. 14-play drive looking for points to get back in the game, and he throws an interception. It's just like, oof, wind taken out of the sail. My question to you is this. Obviously, he didn't address anything in the post game. He said he's going to take some time, kind of do the Rodgers thing.
The real conversation is Brady going to come back?
Is Brady done?
The market projects that he is, because he's got about $6 in future value on the Mojo market. If you look at what he banked this season, I would imagine it's close to around 6. So one more year. I don't know how much he's going to go up if he announces that he comes back. Are they going to, because he's only going to take it year by year. Are they going to play it the same exact way? I would imagine that the market will say, okay, he's going to play it one more year. He might go up about that percentage.
Is there a team that's a Brady away. And I say Brady away, and I'm like, well, what are you getting?
Well, the 49ers could be one.
I don't think so.
But, I mean, what do you mean?
I just don't. I mean, they got Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and Jimmy G.
Jimmy G's a free agent.
Yeah, well aware, but they can also bring him back if they want.
Jimmy G's a free agent. Brock Purdy's free, literally.
Yeah.
Right? And Trey Lance is badly injured that he may or may not be the same. And bringing in Tom Brady is the one thing that you could point at Trey Lance and be like,
what about? I mean, I'm looking at. I told my dad last night. I was like, "What about maybe Vegas? Maybe." But it's like even that they're not a Brady away.
I think here's the thing. I'll bring up a couple teams. Ready? Mm-hmm. Dolphins, because he's in Florida already, and it makes sense because it's not such a crazy.
Do they give up on Tua, or does Tua retire?
Well, there's a lot of question marks surrounding the Tua situation. If you don't recall that there was a Brady involvement with Tua,
I remember
and that whole thing. So there's smoke there. He's from Northern California, the Bay Area, so there's definite smoke there because if there's anywhere where he would be willing to uproot what he's got going on now, I don't think it's going to be to go to Vegas and deal with that madness with Josh McDaniels, the Davis family. I don't think that Brady goes to Vegas. I don't think he uproots himself to go and go to a team that really shit the bed this year nonstop. Well, is Brady really going to come in and outplay Derek Carr with running for his life with no cord? No. Brady's not going there. I know he has a relationship with Josh McDaniels, but I still say no. I think it's either retirement, Dolphins, or the 49ers at this point. The Raiders is a nice potential story, but I think that it's only because of the Josh McDaniels thing, but I don't think Brady's going to Vegas. It's a lot.
We'll see, because, again, what we saw last night out of Tom Brady was exactly what the Cowboys needed to see, and that was old Tom Brady. He did not look right. There was a couple passes where, of course, you see the velocity, he picks it up, he plants his foot, lace it in there, right? But then for every one of those, spiking it into the earth, like just giving up on plays, he just didn't look. I mean, look, truth be told, the Cowboys win the game. Brady's walking off the field. He doesn't even look mad. He doesn't even look mad. He doesn't look like he's like just frustrated with a loss. He just looks like, all right, man, I'm done.
I think that there would have been a different version of Tom Brady if there was a tight game and they lost. You would see it. But I think that the competitive fire may have gotten beaten out of him around mid-fourth quarter where it's like, even I can't come back from this one against the defense playing the way they're playing. So, and honestly, the defense wasn't doing them any favors when you have to play comeback in the second half. You need to get stops. They weren't. So
no defense.
No
did not
shot
show
in that
up
one.
well.
I think it's time to short Tom Brady. If I'm going to say it, if I have to make a prediction here, I've been on the fence back and forth, and it really has been a weekly thing. You see him play well and have fun, and you're like, oh, this guy's not coming back. He's divorced now. I mean, we sit here and say he's divorced now, and we factor that in. It's like, well, his family's gone, so now he can do what he wants. I don't think it works that way. We talked about the Zach Wilson thing. In the preseason, everyone's like, Zach Wilson's the man. I was like, Zach Wilson's going through it right now. His girl just broke up with him. His mom's probably pissed. You don't know what's going on in his personal life. He's not feeling like the man. When Tom Brady's, everybody's saying he don't care about his family, he's seeing this shit too. He does care about his family. I can guarantee it. So the whole thing that he doesn't care and he's going to play because he's divorced, I think it might be the opposite. I think he might be like, you know what? I kind of realized that, I'm 58.
And he's got a guaranteed contract with Fox to go broadcast and do the booth thing.
As if money is the issue, right?
No, it's not the issue, but I'm saying, like, he's got something to do to get his football fixed.
I have a question. I'm going to send you a link to Tom Brady's website, right?
TB12.com?
TB12.com. Order a hoodie.
What is it, like $90?
I wish.
Shut up. Was it more than that?
Tom Brady's got some expensive clothing.
Well, right, that's why I won't be purchasing any of that garbage.
And you know what? As soon as he retires and he's able to go into
$28 for this flannel.
Until he's able to go into that full-fledged NBA jam, baby. Karan Butler and Anton Jameson. You gotta love it.
Very homage. It is a homage shirt, right? Yeah, it's nice.
It is. But yeah, Tom Brady. These guys were, when Tom Brady was a rookie, they were just born. This is a retro shirt.
So we'll see what happens with Mr. Brady going forward. But the Dallas Cowboys secure themselves a ticket to San Francisco next week. They'll take on the 49ers. You got the Eagles and the Giants. You got the Chiefs taking on the Jaguars, and you got the Bills and the Bengals. And we're going to cover all those games throughout the course of the rest of the week, starting tomorrow. But there was things that kind of fell through the wayside just because, there's a lot. Obviously, everybody wants to talk football. Everybody wants to talk playoffs and teams that made it. This isn't necessarily a eliminated team rundown because there's been plenty of teams that have been knocked out and done for the year. We're not going to go over all of them, but there's a very interesting story developing in Arizona right now with the fact that the firing of Cliff Kingsbury was, I don't want to say expected, but when you can't deliver with this massive quarterback on your team, and then he obviously gets hurt.
To be fair, he's very small.
Well, he's very, yes, sure. Short. So I will say this, though. His contract was huge. His guaranteed money, all that stuff that went into the season. Big contract, small person. But then you're looking at the option for D-Hop. And when you're on the market, when you're looking at guys to invest in going forward, do you think that this is a situation now where if you get in on DeAndre Hopkins and they do ship him somewhere, we're going to have this conversation where it's going to be like, oh my God, I can't D-Hop and this guy? Like all of a sudden, like he's going to have this resurgence. Because if they're going to shop him and they're trying to move some money around for the future of this team, I don't know if this is the guy you want to move. So you know what I mean? Like, what is that?
Well, two things. One, Hopkins has always been the guy that's like 2 years out from his free agency. He's like, I want a new deal. And guess what? He wants a new deal. So right now, I think he's owed 36 over the next two, which, I would want a new deal too if I was him, based on the fact that he set the market when he got that deal, and now it's basically doubled.
Yeah.
And he had a massive deal at the time. So if
we're getting guys on the, like Jefferson.
The thing is, Hopkins has very little leverage, and the fact that they're kind of going through a rebuild right now is the only thing that's going for him in his abilities to get out of town or get a new contract, because right now he wouldn't get one. He would have to hold out.
Was this supposed to be a rebuild, though? I mean, like you had Murray,
No.
You had Connor, you had Hopkins, you had all these guys.
No, it was not supposed to be a rebuild, but now you have an injured quarterback, so you're going into things next year with the reality that you're probably not going to have your starter out of the gate, which is not a good spot to be in. First-year head coach now, and that's where the rebuild's coming in.
I wonder who goes there.
I mean, they messed up hiring Kingsbury. I think Pat Mahomes, he has Pat Mahomes to thank for that, because he was the quarterback at Texas Tech when Kingsbury was the coach there.
When they hired him, it was right away. I mean, the Cardinals had Josh Rosen as their starting quarterback, the number whatever overall pick.
The day Josh is our guy. And then he drafted Kyler Murray.
Yeah, no, so that's
which he was right to do that. I understand.
I'm well aware that the Kyler Murray is all of a sudden has say in who they bring in, which I always thought was complete garbage.
I don't think it's garbage in the right spot. You have guys like, there's been Peyton Manning in the league, Aaron Rodgers in the league, Tom Brady.
That guy's not Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers.
Yes,
those guys
very,
can dictate
very different.
Who brings you
100%.
in. You don't get a brand new shiny contract and then get hurt, and then you get to also determine who's your next head coach. No, that's not the way it should work. It might work this way, and it might happen this way. I don't see it. What I do see is whoever they do bring in, that maybe Murray's not as solidified as the QB in Arizona. And I'm not doing this for clicks, I swear, because I truly believe that even if you gave this guy a contract, there are teams out there that can afford this guy. Okay, they could if they wanted to. And I'm talking about talking about the Bears, talking about the Jets. I'm talking about teams that might want a superstar quarterback, and based off of what this guy's been paid, he's being paid like a superstar quarterback. But he's outside. You talk about before. He's outside the top 10.
I think the feeling outside around the league is that Kyler Murray's overpaid. And
Absolutely.
And when you're it's like when you're a GM in the league, you kind of know the position that other GMs are in. You know, any GM is having to give Murray that deal. So it's not like the GM made a big mistake. You know, you have no choice in some cases where you got the guy. It's like you realize how hard it is to get a franchise quarterback. And as bad as Murray can be at times, there's been some real flashes. Last year they started 9-0. He was an MVP candidate for a good portion of the season. Obviously it tailed off, but I blame a lot of that on Kingsbury. I want to see Kyler Murray, because I do not think Cliff Kingsbury was an adequate head coach in the NFL. I do not. And a lot of the bullshit pouting could be from the fact that maybe he is a little immature, Kyler, and I think he is. I think that's established. But also, when you don't have a good coach, it's really hard, especially when the fingers are all being pointed at you as being the guy that's messing up.
Right. In any event, it's a tricky situation. There are more situations that are going on around the NFL as far as the coaching is concerned. It's been announced that Sean McVay will be coming back to the Rams. Stafford said he was already coming back, with or with not Sean McVay. I don't think there's any tension there, but do you think for whatever reason that there's an actual open quarterback conversation to be had next year?
Absolutely not.
Right? So then what happens to Baker Mayfield?
Nothing.
He goes out, he's free agent, done.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I feel like that was his best chance
unless he's down
to do
take
something.
real like third string / backup money and come in and compete for the backup quarterback job. That's how Baker's going to get approached by execs in the offseason, if that.
Interesting.
Jim Harbaugh staying in Michigan.
Jim Harbaugh is, in fact, staying in Michigan. We already know about Lovie Smith being fired, so they're going to have a whole new regime. The coaching search continues for the Broncos and the Colts. And, there's a lot of teams out there searching for their next guy. And I think that based off of decision, I know you said it already about Justin Fields, but there are like rumblings of saying like maybe they take a shot at somebody different and Justin Fields is shipped off for some haul. I know it sounds ridiculous, but we've seen crazier things. Nobody saw Russell Wilson leaving Seattle. Nobody saw Tom Brady leaving New England. We've seen crazier things in the NFL. When it comes to this, it's a business after all. And if the Bears want to really stockpile, you can get some heavy artillery for a Justin Fields if that were to be the move. But if all their confidence is over there, great. And I think that the kid could be something special. I don't know if he could throw the ball.
I think that there's going to be...
He might be another Lamar, honestly.
The Bears...
And that's another one, Lamar.
It's a tough spot if you're the Bears because if you start those conversations about potentially moving on from Justin Fields, it's obviously going to go public.
When there's smoke, there's fire.
If it goes public and they're not able to get something done, then you're stuck with a quarterback that knows that you don't have the confidence in him. And then the other flip side of that is when you go public and you start making calls and saying, hey, Justin Fields is available because we may like one of these other guys a little bit better that we have not even seen in the league yet. If I'm an exec, I'm going to be like, well, they've seen this guy in practice for 2 years now, and they do not believe in him. What about my coaching staff is going to make me think that he could throw a 10-yard out? Nothing. So I'm not in on Justin Fields if I'm an exec around the league, at least at the cost of what the Bears are probably going to be asking for him, which is what they gave up, which is a ton. So no way.
Remember that
Justin
time
Fields, they're going to have a hard time getting.
Remember that time they traded for Chase Claypool?
And I know if this is the clippable content, which it could be, I have no idea what's getting clipped. If
you don't think it's going to be a Cowboys clip, you're high.
Oh, that's very valid. I'm not. Justin Fields is just. We'll just leave it at that. Justin Fields, he is going to be the Bears quarterback next year, but they're probably unhappy about it. And I'm going to get flamed in the comments about talking about Justin Fields not being good because he's not.
All right. Well, we'll see. There's a lot to discuss in the offseason, but guess what, guys? We're not in the offseason yet. We will get there. And tomorrow we start our coverage with the entire NFL slate left. Obviously, there's matchups to be had. We're going to figure out who's going to go nuts for your stock and your portfolios coming up this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. No more Monday, thank God. And it's all here. It's right in front of you. So do us a favor. The only way you're going to find this out is one, download the app right now, okay? Deposit some money. You know what? They're always giving away stuff, whether it be, risk-free or free bets or whatever the case may be. Mojo's out there giving away stuff, so be sure to be on the lookout. You can also follow us everywhere, all over social media, on the Twitter, the Instagram, and the TikTok, at Mojo, Mojo, and of course the Discord, which was a little bit on fire last night and a couple nights. We're all wondering what the hell people are going to do with their Tom Brady stock. Everybody's up in arms right now. Sure. Yeah, I would say it might be the end of the road for Tommy. And if you've invested in him and you have all that banked value, which you don't because it's there, but whatever. We'll see what happens with that. So happy about today. I didn't think I was going to come in here happy. I really didn't. I had this really eerie feeling going into the game. Then towards the end, I started having a little bit more confidence. And towards
the end, what was it? A 30-point lead?
No. I'm talking about.
Feel confident.
No, when I was leaving the office yesterday, I was feeling confident. I said we're going to beat Tom Brady. Like we're going to do it. It's going to happen, and it did.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
I know. Thanks, man.
How many sacks did you have?
Me? Just a half a sack. Oh, French fries from White Castle.
That's perfect. I'm glad you picked up on that.
You can't say we. You don't pay for the team. Anyway, Dave Sturchio, Chris Gueci, and A5 Anthony behind the glass. This has been another episode of the Mojo Market Report. Let's get ready for divisional round coming up this weekend. We'll see you guys tomorrow. How about them Cowboys?